Abandoned by a girl, the nerd decides to prove something to her. When I was 16, I had two things on my mind, girls and cars. I wasn't very good with girls, so I thought about cars. I thought about girls too, but I had more luck with cars, Warren Buffett said. That's how you could describe my activities with girls at the beginning of my studies. However, thanks to a woman, I made one of the most significant breakthroughs of that time in my life. When you're 20, hormones play an essential role in your life. I won't say they don't play in mine, but I somehow replaced it with computer games. Despite my resolutions, one day I met a mathematician with whom I fell madly in love. I devoted my whole heart to this game. I would never have expected that a rational person could devote so much energy to something like this. I was so excited that nothing else crossed my mind. There was just one problem. The one I loved was quite romantic. The same girl who stole my heart also stole the heart of one of my closest friends. I got entangled in an intrigue from an Argentine soap opera where she met me during the day and him at night. Then it was ultimately the other way around. One day I heard from my sunshine that she could pick me up if I married her. That's $1 million question for a 19-year-old boy in love. I won't lie, I thought about it for a moment. Coincidentally, I learned from a mutual friend that my opponent had received the same offer. This was too much, and I didn't want to participate in any market. But it's hard to abandon one of your first loves just like that. I had to turn that table over. So I wrote my first internet portal, got my mind with something, and proved something to myself and the silly girl. I focused on something new, like the current Web3 or AI. Over the next 2 months, I learned new programming languages. One focused on a new form of writing applications based on the web browser. The PHP language and the majestic MySQL were leading the way then. And so, in 2000, I created an internet portal on my own, which allowed people to build their photo galleries and share them with friends. Do you associate it with anything today? In its initial version, the service was called Ogladai PL. I was utterly unaware that Ogladai was a massive success. It gathered in its ranks over 100,000 people from Poland alone who created their photo galleries and shared them with others. Spazala Iradla Irad. Over 1 million people per month viewed this service, and I had a solid source of income from the then-fledged AdWords service. This project taught me many things about operating with masses and increasing reach. It was the foundation for the 2000 internet projects I built later in the SaaS formula. Nowadays, such results would be a solid basis for scaling, whether looking for an investor or a team. However, Poland struggled with many economic problems in 2000, when the first venture capital or private equity funds emerged. What capital? What investment? What VC? Local investors? Business angels? When you showed them the website, they shouted, "Internet? What is an internet?" My first SaaS portal, 2000. I did everything independently, following the simple business principle, if I increase my revenue, I will hire someone. As a capable businessman, I took the opportunity and sold the service for $12,000. I bought myself a Mercedes C-Class car imported from Germany. $12,000 was the annual income generated by this service. I loved building and developing things, and money was of secondary importance to me. However, the history of this website does not end here, and its further approach taught me a big life lesson. Source code with a human is valuable. The company that bought the site, a regional media group, decided to destroy the project's identity by replacing the logo and terms and bombarding users with advertising content. The users of this portal were very attached to the brand and to the fact that this particular service was free from all this marketing crap. Here I am reminded of the story of the conversation between Mark Zuckerberg and Sean Parker presented in the movie The Social Network about whether Facebook should serve ads. The conclusion was that it should, but it can't because in this way it can destroy its growth power. I had similar conclusions, but Facebook didn't exist then. I had a good feel for the market. As I had predicted, the portal's viewership dropped to 10,000 monthly users from 1 million. When the new service owner got this, he decided to sell it. He sold it to another entrepreneur who was a total layman on the internet, but ran a traditional marketing and graphic agency. This entrepreneur contacted me and offered to build a graphical interface for a nicer one. The previous site was very archaic and compared to the first version of Facebook. The newest owner decided that the graphics were the biggest problem with this site and that everything would return to normal after replacing them. It was no problem. As my later experience has shown me many times, the value of services sells, not necessarily how they look. However, I will not be such a brave man anymore because times have changed so much that the value of all the technologies in the world has flattened. The distinguishing feature is the appearance, such a sign of the times. I agreed to this offer, and this entrepreneur paid me an additional $10,000, for which I did not buy a car, to be precise. Changing the design didn't help. The service was at rock bottom and couldn't get going. The new owners needed to understand building a community and its associated culture. I even thought about buying back the service. Still, I was already building my project on private internet televisions, an international project, and I decided to focus on that. As for my future wife and my friend, it ended the way most of these types of triangles ended. One day, my friend showed up at my door holding a frozen chicken in his hand. He stated that he had moved out of that woman's house, but had a chance to grab a chicken on the way out from the fridge, and would gladly eat it with me to make up. We drank over that chicken and made up like men do. I built my future thanks to this woman and my love for her. Maybe not how she would have wanted it, but I am grateful. From what I know, a year after breaking up with my friend, she finally married and is a happy mother of 3 little rascals. There are a few conclusions to be drawn from this life lesson. Most importantly, small or large traumas can be transformed into a sick ambition to prove something to yourself. I learned something and created my first internet project. It was the period in my life when I worked like crazy for the first time, 16 hours a day, not looking at anything. And it cured me of the state I was in.